Today's high-intensity technical training is time to go. It is, as always, your comments are welcome in the chat window for live Q&A, both during and afterward. AI continues to evolve. We have talked extensively about this over the last weeks. We've seen AI answer questions. We've seen content generation. But now we're seeing a third wave of AI, agentic intelligence, a new class of AI that can plan, reason, and execute tasks autonomously, all to drive real business outcomes. Today, Telarus VP of CX Sam Nelson presents today's HITT training. She is joined by Mikey B. She is joined by Megan Tai. Sam, you always bring something new to the table. This discussion impresses me as being an enormous leap in the AI evolution. And as always, our advisors need to understand how to help their clients understand it and use this resource. Welcome. How you doing?
I am good. How are you doing, Doug? How are those flaming hot Cheetos?
I missed the flaming hot Cheetos. I had to give them up, like I say, because of the dust. But it's raining outside, so I could just go outside and wash them off. So if I disappear for an extended period of time, you'll know what happened.
Excellent. I love it. Well, good stuff. Well, thank you, Doug, for the introduction. And as everyone knows, Megan Tai, Mikey V, our CX and AI solution architect slash experts are on the call with us today. You guys know my style, right? It's very casual. It's very dynamic. Go ahead and pop things into the chat. Say hi to us. I do have the chat window open. So if you want to pop anything in there that we can go ahead and call out or answer on the fly, do let us know. I am going to apologize in advance that you sound a little stuffy, going through like allergy season. I think everybody is battling. I don't know if it's cold. I don't know if it's allergies, but you know what? It's something. So it's all good. Hey, Kenneth, good to see you here. All right. So today, it's all about agentic AI. It's unleashing this third wave of AI. And this session is a little unique, okay? And I say it's unique because we're talking not just CX or customer experience technology, but we're actually blending quite a bit into sort of the cloud swim lane. And I'm going to go ahead and kind of clarify all of that for you, because I think people think, oh, yeah, all this CX stuff is really cool, but they don't really think about sort of the data, the infrastructure, all of those things sort of behind artificial intelligence. The reality here, folks, is that AI is only as good as the data, right, that it's got to work with. And if that data is not clean, it's not accurate, or it's not being handled appropriately, or if the infrastructure isn't there, inside in a company to support the capabilities of artificial intelligence, technology, then it's not going to be any good, right? Okay, so in true Sam fashion, I want to get to know you. Who's on this call? I know we've got a lot of longtime listeners, maybe first-time callers, maybe 100th time callers. But I want to know, how familiar are you with agentic AI? And it's okay. We're going to go over it, but I want to know, okay? -9. Okay, that's a new one, Mikey B. Lies. What does agentic mean? Perfect. Excellent. This is great. 5. Okay. All right. Y'all are just messing with my number system. I see how it is. And it's okay to be completely unfamiliar. You could put 0. You could put 0. It's totally cool. But the goal is to make sure that this session is really tailored to what you guys want. -0. That's what's AI. I love it. Hey, if you're being honest, okay, good. Now, you've all passed the test, meaning that you've all participated. So congratulations. That's a win for a Tuesday. Pat yourself on the back there. I super appreciate you all participating. Infinity and beyond. I love that one. So let's dive right into the content. I'm going to tell you exactly what's coming up, what to expect, and then we will roll from there. But like I said, keep the chat rolling, folks. And the way I do this too is it's kind of like a podcast where you participate. I'll just answer stuff. Megan, Mikey B are all over the chat. They're going to stir up some stuff as we go along. All right. So today's agenda, that's right, Mikey B, stirring the cauldron. Even though it's not Halloween, he's always doing that. Okay, so the agenda today, agentic AI. We're going to talk about why it matters. What in the world is agentic AI? We're going to cover a little bit about what the AI brain sort of is, giving you a little bit of insight into some terms that you may or may not have heard, kind of the components of what makes up the AI brain. We're going to talk about some personas to target with this stuff, right? Because the goal here is not just to give you insight as far as what agentic AI is, but also how to go out and actually sell it and have the conversations with your clients or even prospects. Everybody's talking about it, but it's also kind of that thing that people want to talk about, but not too much because they might get into the weeds a little bit. And that's where we can help, of course. We'll go over some use cases so that we can tie everything together. It's going to make sense for you. And then last but certainly not least, talk about next steps. We're going to have a lot of time for Q&A. So like I said, though, ask the questions. Okay. We love to see it. And we love to go off topic. Marketing loves us for going off the menu all the time. So that said, story time. You all know that I love starting with story time. The title of this session is quite literally Unleashing This Third Wave. Yes. So we're going to actually talk about, like, what does this mean? What do you mean by the third wave? I think there was a book called The Third Wave. Not relevant here. It was a good book, but we're going to go over sort of the first, the second, the third, so you kind of understand where we're coming from. Okay, so we're going to do some light board action here. I know I'm going to get the question, so I'm just going to say it now. Revolution light boards. Okay, you can Google it. It's fantastic. All right, so wave number one. Okay, we're going to start there. Okay, what in the world was it? This is when you had a lot of sort of early AI systems. They followed really, really strict rules. And so we like to call this rules-based AI. Okay, that's really what happened in wave one. And this is where AI systems could really only respond to like very specific inputs with like very predefined outputs. So like, let's say, for example, turn this down a little bit, it's giving me a headache. Let's say, for example, when you call in, you hit 1 and it goes to sales, or you hit 2 and it goes to support. It's very, very basic. Think of like the very, very basic automated phone menus. Okay, that's what wave one was. It was very useful, right? Because it didn't require someone to actually help you through a menu and route you to the right person. But it was really kind of rigid, right? And it wasn't able to adapt to new situations. Because let's say, for example, you called in and you didn't want to talk to sales. You didn't want to talk to support. You had to hit 0, and then someone had to come to you and say, hey, what is it that you need? And then they had to route you anyways, right? So not as effective. Okay. All right. Now we're going to move on to wave 2. All right. So wave 2, this is where like your statistical kind of machine learning based AI came in, right? So this is ML based. All right. So this stuff, all right, data and sort of the computing power grew quite a bit, right? And this is where we started to see artificial intelligence kind of advance into more of these statistical models. Okay, machine learning became a thing, ML, right? And then what these systems could then do was actually analyze significant amounts of data, right? Because we came to a point where people, we moved to the cloud, yay, but now everyone's got all this data. What do we do with it? And so these systems could then analyze the data, and it could not only do that, but it could recognize patterns, and then it could actually start doing things like making predictions, right? And this is actually where AI kind of took off to start sort of predicting behavior. It started recommending content. It started having really, really basic conversations. Think of when you call in and the robot says something like, what can I help you with today? Right? And you could tell it, and it would go ahead and figure it out and route you to the right person. No menu needed, no buttons needed to be pushed. Just tell it what you want to do. Another basic example of this is, say, something super relatable if you're looking on Hulu or you're looking on Netflix. A very kind of basic example is it making recommendations to you based on shows that you liked, right? This is where it started to take that data and then, find and figure out kind of what you may want to watch next. Not only did it do that, but it also took your profile, looked for similar profiles across other users, and then made the same recommendations, right? So started to kind of learn and take all this data and make a lot of sense with it. Now, let's talk about sort of this third wave and what this means. Okay, so wave number 3, this is what we are all about today. Wave number 3, this is where agentic comes in, agentic AI, or something that we like to refer to as the reasoning phase. All right. So reasoning, this is a big, big deal, folks. We are already here and we've come such a long way in such a short amount of time, which is crazy. So we're now in this agentic era. I'll tell you right now, what you're going to see is this word agentic used in everything. Just like how over the last couple of years, we saw AI become that buzzword. Okay, the new buzzword is agentic. Mark my words now. This call is being recorded. Agentic is the new word. It's the word of 2025, folks. It has arrived. So this is where the wave, essentially, AI understands and it also predicts. But in addition to wave 1 and wave 2, it starts making decisions. Okay, and this is where enter autonomy. Okay, so think, based on the conversation it had with you, it's going to start making its own decisions to assist, but also to help you achieve the outcomes that you have. So let's say, for example, instead of just like a product upgrade, right? Something like AI can actually analyze the customer's data. It personalizes the offer. It actually initiates outreach to you. And it even schedules like a follow-up session with you, right? It's starting to make decisions based on, based on the data it has actually collected, right? So the big word here is autonomy, autonomous agents, agentic, reasoning, all of that good stuff. So in true Sam fashion, I do have to erase this. So start lighting up the chat. Mikey B has put a lot of stuff in there, folks. Take a quick look, ask some questions. I'm hoping that nobody here has a PhD in AI. Definitely one of my worst nightmares. Actually, one of those recently. Someone was correcting me the whole time, but it's all good. Let's see. How does it deal with bias and ethics? Oh, I love this one. Bias and ethics. How do you police that? All right. So first thing I'm going to say is that AI is something that's constantly learning and you do have to teach it. It's like this machine that's just constantly taking. Do you do Windows? Wes, I'll get to that after this question. So you got to train it. That's correct. So Zachary's right. You have to train the model, folks. And this is typically what we call a nesting period. So it's anywhere between 60 to 90 days where you park whatever AI tool it is, right? And you're constantly making adjustments. You are teaching it how to do its job. Yeah, Windows as a service, no spiff. We can go deeper into that question, John. It is going to differ based on supplier and functionality and capability and all that good stuff. But there's absolutely a learning period. And here's the thing, as technology advisors, you can be really sticky in these opportunities naturally, because you have to paint the picture that the customer has to, in fact, continue to train the model, revisit the solution, make sure it's continuing to work for them to help them reach their goals, right? So it's a super sticky product, but it's something that helps you stick around as well. All right. So let's keep. All right. So why does it matter? Why do we care about this stuff? It's cool, right? And the waves are pretty neat, and the stuff I wrote on the board is pretty cool. But let's talk about why it really matters for your clients and for prospective clients. So first and foremost, the wow factor is huge. It is, in fact, a new competitive edge. In fact, okay, Gartner threw out this stat. 80% of customer service issues are predicted to be resolved autonomously by 2029. Guys, 80%, which could potentially lead to a 30% cost reduction in operational costs, okay? And not necessarily the people, okay? Rather, it's just making them more effective, potentially, scheduling them to be in more effective sort of time slots here and there. But also, if you have agentic AI working the system here, you've got things like 24/7 support, right? Where AI doesn't need to sleep, right? And so this is a new sort of competitive edge for customers. And that said, let's just dive into like what exactly is it? If you had to give it a particular definition, all right, yeah, it's autonomy, it's all good, but at the end of the day, we call it this sort of emerging class of AI systems, and it interacts with users and systems with autonomy, deep reasoning, and this ability to act independently toward achieving complex goals. So, in three things, it sets goals, it learns, and then it adapts. All right. Those are the three things when it comes to agentic AI. And that's what makes it so unique compared to the AI that we've been seeing emerge over the last couple of years. Okay. So, next up, let's talk about the AI brain. Oh, this is fun. Okay. So, predictive. All right. That's the first one. So, it plans ahead. Okay. Let's dive into this a little bit. So predictive AI is essentially it analyzes the data to forecast what is likely going to happen, right? It's this piece of the brain, the AI brain, not my brain. I wish I could, but I have a crystal ball and those are all guesses. But the predictive AI component of the brain is one that plans ahead, right? And its impact is to actually help clients proactively, right? And it meets the needs instead of reacting late. So it's proactive versus reactive. Okay. So let's give an example here. Let's say a provider, right, uses something like predictive AI to flag accounts that are most likely to churn, right? And what agentic AI would do in this situation is it could actually notify the account manager. It could schedule a check-in between the account manager and the customer. And it could actually proactively offer personalized discounts or maybe even like a training session or a check-in session with that customer. So what you've done essentially as a business owner is you've automatically turned a risk into a retention. See what it did there? So that's the power of something like predictive AI and that brain and how agentic is related to that. Now, the next one that we are all very in tune with these days, because everybody does it now, is conversational. All right. So the listening, the speaking, that's a part of the AI brain. It's understanding, it's responding to actual humans. And so the impact here is that ultimately this part of the brain reduces the friction, it increases accessibility, it's going to speed up a lot of the decision making. So how does agentic AI kind of work in conversational? Let's talk about that a little bit. So think of agentic AI being embedded in like a customer portal. Okay. And when it's chatting with users about, product issues, what it can do on that in that conversation is that it can identify the root cause of the issue. It can automatically escalate a ticket or create a ticket and escalate it if needed. Or it could even solve the issue on the spot, saying, hey, here are some links to help you. Here's some documentation. Or guess what? If it even like identifies what the issue is, again, power of cloud, power of data, on the back end, it can actually go in and fix the issue itself, right? Doesn't require a human to do it. It can go in the back end and fix it. So what this means for a business, well, it's faster resolution, happier customers, right? People are slowly moving to that model of like trusting the AI and training it to do these kinds of things so that they can dedicate actual human resources to more kind of complex initiatives or, just other ones. The next one is generative. Okay, we're all familiar with this. Put a 1 in the chat, put a number in the chat if you have used something like ChatGPT or Gemini or something. Yeah, that's what I thought. Good. We have a lot of honest people here. I love it. Yep, you have used some sort of Gen AI within the last probably 24 hours, right? You've popped something into ChatGPT or whatever. Doesn't have to be work related. It could be like, hey, like, give me a workout for 30 minutes while I'm traveling, and it's something that I can do just in my hotel room, right? Not like I've done that at all. Okay, so generative AI, literally the brain that creates, a piece of the brain that creates. It does things like create new content, whether that's text for programmers, it's code for designers, it's graphics. It can even do things like workflows. It could create, gosh, so many things, mind maps, like you name it, right? And the number one reason why that's so effective is because it's going to save you lots of hours of manual work. And it kind of enables this rapid iteration. And so we've all experienced it. When we need quick resource, we just pop that thing into ChatGPT and out it comes. Or we want to make an email sound different, right? Change the tone of this email or make it sound more professional. Pop it into ChatGPT. Of course, leave out the sensitive information. Okay, don't forget that. But they can do things like that really, really quickly for you. So let me give you an example of this. If like a marketing team wants a new product landing page, the agentic AI can not only write the copy, generate the visuals, but it can also optimize things like search engine optimization, SEO, right? It can optimize that metadata and then maybe even push it live via kind of marketing system integrations, right? And so as a result, something like a marketing team can actually like reduce launch times, right? Because they don't have to do that much more. They could actually reduce that from weeks to hours potentially. And it gives them more time to really focus on sort of refining and enhancing materials rather than the launch itself, right? So just a couple more use cases for you. But that is sort of the three components of what we reference as the AI brain. Too funny. I'm seeing some stuff in the chat. This is great. All right. Let's talk about personas. Who cares the most? Now, I'm not saying that these are the only personas that you should target. Okay, but what I am saying is that these are some of the most common that we are encountering in a lot of these conversations we're having around things like agentic AI. All right. So the first one, up and to the right, is what we all like to see. Anyone in the revenue organization, anything in the revenue organization, because and a lot of you know this as well, right? We've got a lot of sales folks here as tech advisors. We're constantly selling. But if you're not spending time selling and you're doing something else, you're essentially taking dollars away from your day, right? You want to be focused on those revenue generating activities. And so anything that's going to get you more of that time or make that easier for you is a big bonus. So of course, anyone in the sales org is really, really, really into agentic AI, as well as marketing, right? Sales and marketing come together. But also, guess what? They got the money to spend, okay? They have the money to spend. Now, the beauty of this is you apply technology and it's auditable, it's trackable. Finance is going to love that because typically finance wonders what ROI is on sales and marketing activities. Well, guess what? You pop an AI agent in there that's tracking everything. It's tracking ROI, it's tracking lead conversions, it's tracking, you name it, right? It's going to provide that full analysis, full visibility to make further investments in things like technology that we all want. Okay. The next one, CX leaders. If you guys have heard of cxpa.org, check it out. There's a whole community of CX leaders. If I were you, I'd go check it out, start stalking it. Go on LinkedIn, find people who are members of CXPA or who have that certification. Companies are hiring these folks to come in and optimize workflows, processes, technology stack, you name it. But CX leaders are looking for ways to embed agentic AI into the technology stack all the time because that's going to, like it says here, automate insights to action. Last but certainly not least, and I say this like in no particular order, okay? So like don't get mad at me, cloud folks, but cloud architects. All right, so this is really neat. And this is not my swim lane. This is definitely a Kobe Phillips swim lane, right? But you have to understand that this is insanely important. The cloud conversation, the data, the architecture, the structure, all of that good stuff is really, really important. And the way that cloud architects are actually using things like agentic AI today is they're enabling sort of this no-touch provisioning, scaling, and monitoring. So in other words, these activities no longer really require a human in a reactive situation. Rather, if something happens literally within like seconds or milliseconds, something like agentic AI can come in, provision, scale, monitor, boom, it's done, right? And we're all like, all lights are green again, no need to worry. All the car emergency lights are off. We are good to roll, right? So these are just some personas who are going to care the most. Again, no particular order, but what agentic AI does in it is that it really enables you to have more conversations beyond just customer experience or beyond just cloud. At the end of the day, something like agentic AI is kind of bridging the gap between a lot of these different swim lanes, meaning CX, cloud, cybersecurity, mobility, IoT, right? And so just know there are so many different applications, but it's now this sort of tether between all of the different technologies to have bigger conversations. And we are here to help you with that, folks. I know this is a lot of data coming your way. The last thing I want is for you guys to sit in a dark room, on the floor in the corner, hugging your knees to your chest, rocking back and forth. We're not looking for that, okay? Bring us in. We're happy to help you. All right, let's roll through a few different use cases because I want to leave a lot of time for questions. I want to bring on Mikey B, Megan. We can chat through some of these things that are coming up. Doug can come up as well. But use case number one. Okay, so we kind of chatted through this, sales enablement. So let's say, for example, the simplest form, a lead interacts with a website. Okay. And without any human intervention whatsoever, something like an agentic AI system can create a custom email sequence based on what that lead did. So say the lead went to check out gray shirts, then they went to blue shirts, then they went to blue pants. So what the custom email sequence might be is, hey, noticed you checked out all of these different items in these colors. Let's schedule a meeting for you to meet with a personal shopper. And by the way, here are some looks that go great with all the selections you made. Right? Like how powerful is that? And it happened all without an actual human. Right? So just a lot more handholding, white glove service. It's like going into a Nordstrom, but like virtually. Right? Very cool. Use case number two. We talked about proactive versus reactive support. So this is really neat. This is more of like a cloud thing, but very applicable. So let's say a client is working with a system, they hit a bug, right? And it's a showstopper and they need immediate support. So what something like agentic AI can do is it's not only going to detect the issue ahead of time or as it happens, essentially, but it can go ahead and generate an actual fix, right? And then it can tell the client without them having to like submit a support ticket or anything, hey, like here's a status update, here's the resolution, notice this happened to you, so sorry about that, right? The most relatable I would say to something like this is say you're on an airline, not going to name any specific one. Let's say you're on an airline and you have terrible Wi-Fi, right? And you get off the plane and you get that email that says, I'm so sorry you experienced terrible Wi-Fi on the plane. Here's a credit for your next flight, something like that, right? This just takes it to the next level from a technical standpoint, all right? The third use case, all right. So again, we're dipping into cloud, but guys, like, don't forget, this is a really, really big deal. Okay, CX is one thing, but if the data is no good or if the infrastructure is poor, it can't support all these other cool tools. So let's dive into sort of the cloud resource provisioning swim lane just for a second. Okay, and again, I'm not a cloud expert, but this is a really applicable use case. So let's say this customer, right? They request a sandbox because they want to test a bunch of integrations and stuff. The agentic AI component is not going to wait. In fact, it's going to use that predictive piece of the brain, and based on everything that the customer has created in the past, it's going to go ahead and generate this what we call infrastructure as a code, and then it's going to deploy that environment securely automatically. Now, in the past, if you're familiar with the process before, it was a human. Like the human had to do like a call with the customer. They had to talk about the history and review the history of all the environments the customer previously created. It then someone had to go in and modify, generate infrastructure as a code, right? And then someone actually had to deploy it, and then the customer could go ahead and test integrations in a sandbox, right? But now we can take all of that, automate it with something like agentic AI to take that over. Really, really neat stuff. Okay, so what do you do? What do you ask? How do you even like start this conversation? You could literally start it by something like, "Hey, I was just on the phone reviewing some information about agentic AI, and I think we need to have a bigger conversation about it. When are you free?" Right? That is like the most basic way to get someone on the phone or in a meeting to talk about something like, well, anything, but agentic AI in particular, because that's what we're talking about today. But some discovery questions for you are things like, what repetitive tasks are slowing down the teams today? Because I guarantee there are many. Okay, even we experience them here. How quickly can the systems turn insights into action? Or how are you turning insights into action today? How are you leveraging the data to make actual data-driven decisions? And then a general one I always like to include here is, hey, what are your biggest goals for this year? So it could be anyone. It could be a head of marketing or head of sales or head of operations, right? Just kind of get to know what their goals are and what their key performance indicators are. Because as soon as you understand what's important to them and what's contributing to their paycheck, the more that you can get sticky and really fine tune your recommendations on targeting for them to hit those KPIs using technology. All right. So that said, next steps. Okay, engage the Solaris team. Get to know key suppliers who are doing this stuff. And you guessed it, a lot of them are already doing this stuff. You're gonna see agentic pop up everywhere. It already is. Just make sure that you're staying up to date on the latest trends, news. The Neuron is one of my favorites. CX Today as well, UC Today as well, you name it. But we actually have a blog. So Kobe and I co-wrote this blog about this content. So definitely check that out as well. But yeah, we are here to help you every step of the way. We're having AI conversations with customers every day, literally every day, multiple times a day. So definitely engage us, and we are more than happy to help. So that said, I would love, love, love to go ahead and bring on Doug, bring on Mike B, Megan. Let's go ahead and answer some questions or stir up some interesting conversation.
Phenomenal questions and participation in the chat today. I commented myself in there. I've been doing this nearly 14 years on this call. I have never seen the chat window blow up like this today. So much interest, so many great comments. Mike, I want to start kind of where you finished up here at the end and give you a chance. You've got a few that I know you want to respond to. But right now, everybody's thinking, all right, my mind is blown, so much information. Where do I go for great resources to follow up on this? And I'd start with replay this call, but you've got a few other suggestions as well.
Yeah, so here at Solaris, we've released, I don't know, Sam, like 5 or 6 different AI documentations, and one is specific to use cases, and then the next slide is specific to the use cases and the suppliers who fit those use cases. Because it's one thing to talk about agentic AI, it's another to say, okay, I've talked about it, I got them on the hook. Who do I hand the pole to reel them in the boat, right? So, it is becoming a little bit of a buzzword, a little bit of a marketecture word, right? Where everyone now does agentic. What I always say is, if some supplier is interested, is interesting to you and saying, "Oh, we absolutely have agentic," try them out, right? See if they can show you a demo, or see if you can make your own voice agentic. So there are some suppliers out there who do a really good job. Just reach out to Megan and myself, and we can kind of narrow that down. Um, but Doug, it's all about education and tools and bringing in the right folks. I wish I could tell you that Megan and I are 1000% up to date, but as soon as somebody said in the chat, as soon as I got it figured out, they introduce new things. So we really try to be on that tip of the spear for y'all. But no, we're learning every day as well.
Well, and Megan, you really brought this out at the beginning when you talked about the development of the evolution of the various types of AI that has come around. And I think for a lot of us who look at this as something we're not very familiar with, but we're learning ourselves, we've finally reached that point, and we all knew it was coming, where now agentic AI has gone beyond just what we teach it and tell it. It's setting goals, it's learning, it's adapting, it's reasoning. And how do we continue to properly train and manage it given its new capabilities?
Was that for me or Sam? Sorry.
I was throwing that to Sam. I'm sorry. Did I say Megan? I'm sorry. Either one of you.
I think
Megan, go
Somebody
ahead.
just
Go ahead.
needs to help me with this.
no, I was just thinking, yeah, training, you're right, because you always have to check. You can't just assume you're launching something and it's good to go. Sam had mentioned you have to continually train it. I think we all know that. Either getting feedback on the responses it's providing or whatnot, but you just have to always train it and make sure it's good to go. And like Mikey was saying, put guardrails around it as well before you actually publish it back out. So it's just a constant monitoring of it, I would say. I mean, even though we say agentic is very autonomous, it has to get to that point. It doesn't start off like that right away, right? So I feel we still have to continue to monitor and make sure we're keeping it in check, and then it can run on its own. But it's not something you can just turn on and maybe do a check once and then assume it's going to be good the rest of the time.
For those that have a little bit of a concern about the guardrails portion, how safe are the guardrails? Does agentic AI and its continuing evolution have the power, authority, or just the ability as it continues to learn and adapt to say, I don't like those guardrails and it would be better if I did something else? What restrictions are in place to ensure that those guardrails remain firm?
You sound like Marvel Comics. Who's watching the Watchers, right? So,
No, I'm just planning my weekend.
yeah, yeah. Anyways, I mean, this is a nerd show, so we might as well throw some comics in here. But on a serious note, I think each supplier needs to, and I'm sure they already have, their own security document. As we do as we walk into the AI world, I'm seeing conversations actually starting with InfoSec. So once the CX leadership team says, yes, we want to move towards an AI model, we bring in the InfoSec team right away to get all that conversation off the table. Then we can focus on the solution and the better customer experience and employee and agent experience after that. So it is important to get the supplier on with the InfoSec team straight away. I did mention one supplier, Liminal. Madison, you owe me a cup of coffee. But what they're doing is pretty cool. It's not so much a CX tool per se, but it's for kind of like Sam said, how are you using ChatGPT? Well, what if I use ChatGPT? Hey, create a voice that sounds like Doug Miller, who lives at 1 Main Street, Sandy, Utah, XYZ. And all of a sudden that goes to ChatGPT, and then your address is written up there, Doug, for everybody to use. That's probably a bad thing, right? Or if you're a law firm, hey, Megan Ty was was cited for rioting in the streets of downtown Spokane.
I
How
did
do I
not see
defend her? Now
that.
that gets written up to ChatGPT, probably a bad thing. So what we like about Liminal is it's not so much a CX product, but it really puts those guardrails up automatically for when I use ChatGPT and I use real people's names. And I would love to see the video of Megan rioting in the streets of Spokane. So someone can
I've got
Google that
guardrails
for me.
around it. You're not going to
That'd
be
be
able to
cool.
find it.
I'm
I'm
pretty
not
sure
gonna
it
find it.
exists somewhere. We just need to ask ChatGPT.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and just to kind of dovetail off of what Mike B was saying is that there's a big kind of security concern around this. Obviously, people willy-nilly using the free version of ChatGPT, and they don't realize that all that data is just out there for everybody to use. It's almost like a big Wikipedia, right? Do we even use that anymore? But yeah, it's like a big Wikipedia. And so you've got several suppliers now kind of jumping on this because there's this kind of secure path to LLM. right? That a lot of companies are looking into because they know that people are using it. I mean, I took a poll, everybody's using it, right? And so how are you making sure it's secure, right? So you now have suppliers like Liminal, you have suppliers like Expedient. You have so many out there now who are kind of finding ways to allow employees to use LLMs or leverage LLMs securely. So that's definitely a big theme that we're now starting to see. And then you start building agentic AI in there, where it starts, making autonomous decisions and takes it to a whole new level. But that's kind of like that first entrant on the security standpoint.
Sam, you're VP of CX for Telarus, and we've spoken with you many times over the years about the evolution of the customer experience. We see this branch into other disciplines. We've talked a lot in recent weeks about the patient experience in medical, for example. As you look at this and you see so many different disciplines now becoming more and more embedded with AI, what do you hear from customers, from our advisors about overall satisfaction with AI in CX from those users who encounter it when they call in or when they're otherwise interacting with AI?
Yeah, I like to say that it's a blessing and a curse at the same time, because I'll tell you, I called into a company the other day and it just let me only pick one or two from the keypad. It didn't ask me what I wanted and it didn't route me immediately. And it was infuriating. So, the basics of AI are great, but also sometimes when AI asks me what I want, it completely misunderstands me and it throws me into the completely wrong area of the business. So I like to say it's a blessing and a curse because, and this is actually the big reason why this opportunity is so massive for technology advisors today, is that, believe it or not, less than 50% of AI projects last year in 2024 even made it to production. Less than 50%. All right, and that's across all the swim lanes, not just CX related. So what does that tell us? It tells us that, yeah, certainly people are interested. However, I think a lot of people are still struggling to figure out exactly how it applies. A lot of them haven't figured out that you need to constantly train it, that it needs to be secure. And so as we start having these AI conversations across all of the swim lanes, and by the way, like, it's not just me, it's Kobe Phillips, it's Jason Stein, it's Graham Scott, right? All four of us have kind of banded together to say, hey, we got to help customers and technology advisors figure out this AI stuff. Because there's this, again, third wave, fourth wave, fifth wave's coming, right? And whatever that is, we got to be ready. But we are having to really arm a lot of TAs to be able to have those conversations around, hey, you can't just throw AI into the technology stack. You can't just go buy a box of it and install it, right? That's not how it works. And so there's this emphasis now of having to incorporate what I like to call the born in AI approach, right? And that's a whole separate talk track, and I have it. Follow up with me after. For those of you who stayed on, congratulations, you heard it. But it's this born in AI approach, where it's a completely different approach than selling your typical SaaS solution, right? It's not just the discussion, the evaluation, it's the implementation, it's the ongoing activities after that will ensure that customers are using AI effectively.
My case to marketing to extend this call to 90 minutes a week still hasn't gone through, so I know we're going to get a little bit short on
That's
time.
too much stress, Doug.
Not for me.
That's
I love
stressful.
this. Megan, I wanted to give you a quick chance to respond to anything else that you saw in the chat that you wanted to answer. And Mikey, same for you. And then Sam, at the end, I want you to finish up. We're going to talk about the blog here in just a second as well, but I want you to go ahead and promote that as well. Megan, quick Q&A that you wanted to do?
Yeah, one of the things I want to key in on, what Wes was asking about the SMB market, and Mikey mentioned this earlier, it is challenging for us. We get so many opportunities every day. Everyone wants AI, and why shouldn't the SMB market be able to tap into AI resources, right? It's been cost prohibitive with the integrations with platform fees and the like. So just know that Sam is working on this, and Mike and I and Sam, we're always talking about what is the latest and greatest, who can we bring in that's going to give us longevity, that's going to give us what we need, that's going to be cost effective for SMB players. So we are still evaluating that. But I was saying to Wes, I mean, it all varies. So what we need to know is what what size is your customer, what vertical, how are they going to use this, how do they want to use this, and what is the volume as far as interactions, whether it's a chat bot, a conversational AI, the voice AI that Mikey and we're seeing so much demand for. So we just have to understand what the use case is. We're going to do our best to try to find that good fit, give a couple options, because there are some vendors out there that are flexible. Instead of mandating, no, we've got to have this platform fee, period, and a conversation, we can tap into some that are more flexible and can work with us for the SMB.
Awesome. Thank you. Mike, what you got for us?
Mitel's in bankruptcy. So there's no AI in Mitel, unlike Megan's name and my name. So that's always fun. Avaya, no AI in Avaya in their name. So Avaya, we mentioned this, I think, Sam, last month, that Avaya is only supporting their top 1,500 customers globally, the G 1,500. And those are typically direct customers for the most part, big BPOs, big universities, massive companies. So this is really an opportunity right now to add FUD in to any Avaya IP office or Mitel customer to go after that, right? Um, Friends, Romans, Telarusians, we are not here to praise the on-prem PBX. We are here to replace it. Let's go. Other than that,
Oh my gosh. Just when I thought he couldn't top himself. That's amazing. Thanks, Mike. Sam, terrific presentation today, as always. Love the technology, love the content. Talk about your blog a little bit and where can everybody find out a little bit more information?
Yes, absolutely. Telaris.com/blog, but we will also send a follow-up to this session for those of you who are in attendance. We'll send a link. You can check it out, but it is co-written by myself, Kobe Phillips. We went ahead and just kind of outlined everything that you sort of saw here, but in greater detail. So definitely check it out. Obviously, Mikey B made it very clear that the entire industry is just ripe for disruption, okay? Whether that's moving from on-prem to cloud, or even having some of these conversations around agentic AI, this third wave, right? And by the way, if you want us to do kind of maybe private sessions for some of your clients around this stuff, like we're open to that. We love doing that kind of stuff. So let us know, reach out to us, engage the team. Our solution architect team and SEs are on it, and we will help you with these conversations.
That is a fantastic offer. The Telarus resources that are available to our advisors just continue to amaze me every day.